All right, so we unfortunately had some pretty bad news come out the other day that former Senator Mike Gravel, who was really one of the most fervent and vocal anti-imperialist politicians in modern history, died. And listen, he was 91 years old, so it's not necessarily like this was some crazy, surprising thing. But still, I think it's important to at least talk about him and remember him and his legacy that he was trying to produce. And I'm going to show you some of the details about him and how he died, and then also we're going to get into some of my favorite clips from his career. So first of all, just hear from Common Dreams. Former U.S. Senator Mike Gravel, most well known for putting the Pentagon Papers into the congressional record to make them available to the American public, has died at the age of 91, according to multiple news reports on Sunday. He died on June 26 in his Seaside, California home, the Washington Post reported. He was an outspoken critic of U.S. militarism and a two-time presidential candidate. Gravel served Alaska as a Democratic senator from 1969 to 1981, during which time he helped bring the military draft to an end. And in 1971, Gravel read over 4,000 pages from the Pentagon Papers, the classified documents leaked by Daniel Ellsberg that revealed vast U.S. government lies about the Vietnam War, into the congressional record. That action came a day before the U.S. Supreme Court lifted an injunction that had blocked the Post and New York Times, which had already published excerpts from the documents from further publication of them. So this, in and of itself, reading the Pentagon Papers into the congressional public record for the American people, is like one of the best things that I've seen a politician do in modern history. Not only is it just morally and principally correct to do, right? Because there were all of these lies that were put out as a consequence of understanding the content of what was in the Pentagon Papers that really could have turned the needle significantly for the American public against the war in Vietnam, although, it was already, the tide was kind of turning at that time. But for him to go out and do this, at the time, I'm going to show you a clip here, but at the time, this was not something that was like easy to do, okay? This is not something that was like, that he even felt necessarily safe or protected that he would have the ability to do. And so, this is something that somebody with real moral character, somebody who actually believes in the things that they say that they believe in, does. And so this really took a lot of courage, but understand that like this wasn't somebody who was just going around talking the talk. This was somebody who really seriously believed in the things that he was talking about, and that's so rare. And so it's important to highlight politicians when they actually stand by the things that they say that they do. And so here's a little clip pointed out by Ben Phillips here. He says, "I love this clip of Mike Gravel recounting reading the Pentagon Papers into the Senate record because of what it teaches about courage. He was not excited, not confident. He was frightened to death, scared of going to prison. He was overcome with emotion, and that is bravery." And I think he's absolutely right. So let's go ahead and watch this clip here.
I was frightened to death over releasing the Pentagon Papers. I had no idea whether I was going to prison. All I could think of was my country is killing people, we're maiming Americans, and this is terrible. And so I was overcome with emotion, not patriotism, just emotion of something you love dearly that has gone astray.
He continued until exhaustion and emotion overcame him after 1 o'clock this morning.
I collected myself, and I asked, now keep in mind, I'm the only one on the committee. I asked unanimous consent to put all of these papers into the record, and I've got the gavel, and I slam it, and I say, hearing no objection, so ordered, that's it. Papers are out. They're in the Senate record.
These days,
Right. So, I mean, again, understand that was not something that was easy to do. He took a stance, and he was standing alone. I mean, literally standing alone, as he pointed out in the end there. He was asking for unanimous consent, and since there was literally nobody else on the committee, he got it. But this is something that takes serious moral courage. Even the people who were the politicians at the time who were moderately or marginally against the war in Vietnam were not willing to go to these lengths. And this is what somebody who actually cares about accurately and adequately informing the American people about what's going on in our wars overseas. This is what you do when you actually care about what's happening, when you care about U.S. imperialism, when you care about the disastrous effects that and the consequences that come of that. That's what taking a principled stance and having courage actually means. And so I wanted to point out another clip here when he was at the, I think this is the '08 debate, presidential debate, where he just absolutely blasts Hillary Clinton and Obama and Joe Biden for their militarism. And so this is one of my favorite clips of all time. So let's go ahead and watch this.
It's like going into the Senate. The first time you get there, you're all excited. My God, how did I ever get here? Then about 6 months later, you say, how the hell did the rest of them get here? And I got to tell you, after standing up with them, some of these people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm President of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top-tier ones. The top-tier ones. They've made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just plain get out. Just plain get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. And you know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what...
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love that quote there at the end. You know what's worse than soldiers dying in vain is more soldiers dying in vain. He's absolutely correct. And it's crazy because this is stuff that's still pertinent to right now, right? I mean, literally just, and I'm going to cover this in a different video today, but literally just yesterday, Joe Biden bombed Iran-backed militias in Iraq. So we're still doing these bombing campaigns and participating in endless warfare in the Middle East, specifically in Iraq, which he was just calling out Joe Biden for. And now Joe Biden's a president and still carrying on this same exact legacy that he was trying to call out back then. So listen, I mean, Mike Gravel, one of the most upstanding politicians, and that's so rare that you actually have that in American politics, but he was somebody who fought against the U.S. empire from within, and he stood by the values that he said that he was standing by. And so he lives on in projects like the Gravel Institute. I'm sure many of you guys are aware of the work that they're doing. They have a YouTube channel, so go check them out if you want to watch their videos, and they're carrying on in his legacy. But in addition to that, we can all carry on in his legacy just by carrying on this anti-imperialist mission that he was trying to put forward, and making sure that we are not waging these endless wars, that we are not launching offensive strikes against countries like Iran and all over the rest of the world. And so we can continue in his legacy, and it's a bummer that he died, but again, he was 91 years old, so it's not completely out of the blue, and we just need to remember his life and remember what he stood for so that we can try to mimic it in whatever ways we possibly can.